Whether it's Naruto's cryptic grammar about this form of Sasuke during the Five Kage Summit, or the intricate narrative regarding of how these are the predecessors surpassing forms, this fight, Sage Mode Naruto versus Five Kage Summit Sasuke, has always been not just, one of the most discussed matches, but also this matchup is one that I think Kishimoto genuinely wanted to leave up to interpretation per se. So I want to preface this video just bluntly by saying that this match is not a stomp at all, hence the title, and it certainly could swing either way. Now, do I stand on a side? Sure, which I'll get into obviously, but just to once again preface, this battle is much more of me analyzing the arguments surrounding each respective side, discussing why some work and some don't, to truly show you both how close this fight can be, but also just to give a reason as to why I would lean to one side more than the other. Before we directly delve into how strong each respective character is, we need to first understand their interaction at the Five Kage Summit. So the first thing here to note is firstly Naruto's stay at the Land of Iron and Kakashi's arrival at the bridge, whilst he begins to battle Sasuke. This Kakashi shouldn't really be anything to scoff at all. This Kakashi, according to the 1 Decade 100 Ninja Guide, trains and hones his abilities every single day, which this statement should be applicable as the guide covers right up to around this point. So Kakashi should be greater than the one who gave Pain a run for his money, but Pain was admittedly holding back and fatigued just to obtain intel, and was relatively, again, fatigued to a point, but, whatever. I digress, as him and Sasuke engage in only a brief taijutsu scuffle, with neither really getting the upper hand, with Sasuke then deciding to completely eradicate Kakashi, to which he instantly goes for the Susanoo arrow, arguably one of Sasuke's fastest attacks, to which he does fire it, and Kakashi only survives due to his immediate usage of Kamui, which, for perspective, this is actually the fastest he ever uses the jutsu. He fought the whole day and withstood severe damage against Kakuzu without ever using the MS. Even against Pain, Kakashi never resorted until much later into the fight, but instantly after seeing the arrow, he certainly acknowledged that it would have just ended him and was too fast. What's important about this is that Naruto notes he senses Kakashi's location and is on his way. This could mean that he actually senses Sasuke's Susanoo, potentially even the final V4 Susanoo that just dissipated after, being awakened. And even Kari noted that the chakra got colder, once again giving the chakra even more that unique trait that would allow Naruto to just sense it rather than just allow it to blend in with Kakashi's per se. Now, Naruto would also have Sage Mode at this point, well, because that's what he was using, and he then saves Sakura and has some dialogue with Sasuke before equaling out a blind base Sasuke, whilst also in base. Obito then remarks that retreat isn't very relevant since Zetsu is a non-combative type and wouldn't be able to handle the Ninetales. However, Obito then believed that he could leave Sasuke here for an entertaining fight, which certainly alludes to Obito thinking this is close. Not only that, but once they do clash base to base, with Sasuke admittedly more fatigued, they equal each other out, and a lot of people do like to hype up and downplay Sasuke's condition, in which, to be honest, Sasuke is much stronger than he was at any point in the summit. We see his rage has gotten to him to a V4 Susanoo resembling that of his EMS one. His speed has drastically increased. However, as this may be true, Sasuke isn't as strong as, say, Danzo fight Sasuke, as he is now so fatigued he can't even hold up the MS at all. For more empirical evidence, one thing to certainly consider is how Sasuke's eyes change, starting with their traditional color, just being black, up to the beginning of the Kakashi fight in chapter 483. However, sometime between here and his interaction with Naruto, presumably once he enhances the Susanoo even further, which I'll get into in a minute, his eyes then turn gray, which this is very consistent as the Susanoo gets its final evolution, but then all dissipates and Sasuke states, "My vision," as we can then see a POV shot of his sight being similar to that of Itachi's when Itachi was nearing blindness. This is particularly important considering that just before Itachi died, we know that he was just straight up blind. Itachi's irises were completely whited out and he couldn't even see Orochimaru's giant 8-headed Hydra, but merely had a feeling that it was Orochimaru's Hydra. However, before going completely white, they were gray. The first time you see his eyes actually turn to gray, funny enough, is right after he uses the Susanoo he used to defend the second Kirin, which, the second time he uses the Susanoo to defend the Kirin, sorry, which just perfectly aligns with what I said earlier about Sasuke and his Susanoo being the key factor as to why he actually really lost his vision and started to lose that eyesight, to which Obito, another Uchiha, also contributed his blindness to the Susanoo. However, why does this happen? Well, when the iris fades, it's a direct sign that the cataracts are completely damaged, preventing any accumulation of protein on the eye lens, causing the literal iris itself to not admit any color and just be white with no UV light rays. Which obviously this just means that the Susanoo usage, Sasuke's eyes began to, visibly gray. Hence, Sasuke was nearing blindness, fatigued, and from fighting, Raikage A, C, Darui, Kazekage, Gaara, Kankuro, Tamari, Mei, Chojuro, Shuchikage, Oniki, Danzo, and Kakashi. So let's not be disingenuous here to Sasuke's state. Moving more off that note, though, there are two things to note. First being that Sasuke is confident in killing Naruto here, pretty much saying that the only one who will die is Naruto. Secondly, this battle was very philosophically grounded, with a lot of emotion revolving around the cycle of hatred rather than just raw power per se. When two high-level shinobi clash, they can interact with one another and know what the other is thinking without actually exchanging any words whatsoever. So just keep in mind that the next two statements that that come right after this interaction aren't just physically based and also lean towards that philosophical grounding. So the first statement is much more straightforward, and Sasuke was, he stated that he needed the EMS to beat Naruto. And this one is directly power correlated. However, Sasuke does get the chance to further elaborate, in which he pretty much states he just wants it because he wants to totally eradicate Naruto. He doesn't really want that close match that was alluded to. Possibly you could say that Sasuke believed the longer the fight went on, the closer his ties would be, and he would be, it'd be even worse for him trying to actually sever his ties, as he was already trying to sever his ties with Taka all the way back in the B fight. So you could certainly make that argument. The second statement is arguably the most brought up thing in this debate, hence to why I'm starting the video off with this interaction, and it's the statement that I am of course talking about is Naruto saying that he would need the Nine Tails to fight Sasuke. Essentially remembers back to how he lost it when Pain took down Hinata, thinking back to Six Tails Naruto, then saying it's okay because the fourth Hokage did the seal, but it could fall apart any time now. However, Naruto then states, quote, "But I need the Nine Tails to fight Sasuke." Many people really take this statement and just couple it with Naruto stating in the chapter prior that he can't just beat Sasuke physically, but also philosophically and spiritually, which is a very valid interpretation, but I do think this is also a power thing to consider, considering how Naruto does corroborate this by thinking back to Minato, saying that he will need to master its power, tossing it back to the next panel, and it does imply more of a conquering hatred idea, so take either interpretation you will. I personally lean towards more emphasis on it being mentally than physically, but whatever. So to conclude this section, both characters need more power to fight the other, but for different reasons. And I think that saying Sasuke has an edge here is probably the safer option. Just to prove more of how truly close this fight is that this is the arc where they actually have to surpass their Sannin predecessors and achieve the level of their above Sannin level bosses, being Itachi and Pain, if you will. Naruto throughout the entire series was being compared to other characters such as his father Minato, but in the Pain arc specifically, we can see that Jiraiya is sent out to fight Pain and even uses his trump card, but fails, being able to combat the Pains merely just one-on-one, but that's about it, with Naruto then going on to Mount Miyaboku to learn Sage Mode from Mount Miyaboku, practicing with Pa early on in his training, say that he could even be a Sage surpassing Jiraiya, which this is virtually just confirmed in the Pain fight, as Naruto goes around one-shotting all the paths individually, and Pa states a similar thing. Sasuke's more shonen narrative isn't quite as blatant, but just prior to Orochimaru's revival, Suigetsu states that they had just now surpassed their mentors, meaning that Orochimaru, from Suigetsu's knowledge, was surpassed by Sasuke some point on the bridge, which we also know that Orochimaru is consistently portrayed to be above Jiraiya, so maybe you could assert something there with both of their, Sasuke's, comparisons being superior to Naruto's comparisons, and also with Itachi and Orochimaru being superior to Jiraiya and Pain. I still believe that Naruto should be the one to take the advantage, just due to Naruto against Pain was quite comparable, when Itachi and Sasuke are still implied to be quite far apart at this, at this level, and Sasuke more or less surpasses Itachi in like EMS and the War Arc, so, I wouldn't just count Naruto out. Regardless of your interpretation of Pain, I personally do subscribe to him being quite fatigued and holding back to some arbitrary extent, particularly like in speed, as we know that Pain was comparable to both the Rasen Shuriken on a low end and base Naruto's Taijutsu, and Naruto's speed isn't really what makes him so impressive in this bout, however, but Naruto's enhanced durability and raw strength is what's really impressive, as shown for one. Pain was never actually able to bypass Naruto's durability, and implies a concession of this very idea when Preta catches Naruto, and Naruto literally states that he can't hurt him, to which Pain just states that Senjutsu is actually bothersome. And this is after Naruto one-shots all the paths as well. His best showing in this fight was definitely that, being nearly superior to Pain in just raw power, with Naruto's speed and abilities just kind of lacking behind what it takes to put him above Pain. And Naruto's speed is still really impressive for one, as we know that against the third Raikage, Naruto opts out to use Sage Sage Mode rather than KCM1 due to its heavy boost and threat perception and its increased reaction time via sensory. Something like this not only gave Naruto the advantage in the pain fight, but would also give Sasuke some trouble in this fight if Sasuke were to say, bring out the Susanoo arrow, in which Naruto could potentially sense the arrow before it's ever even fired, giving Naruto something to, to kind of up that speed difference and make it more comparable. Not only that, but some of Naruto's abilities blatantly counter Sasuke's, like for example, Sasuke can't use Genjutsu because Kurama can just snap him out of it. Now, while this is all well and good, Naruto would traditionally be able to recover from something like this in the sense that Genjutsu would disrupt both Naruto's focus and force, Kurama to break it out, which would also just impact his Senjutsu buildup, which could just allude to, again, like Kurama's intervention is actually going to bring Naruto down, like weirdly enough. So yeah, Sasuke opting for Genjutsu is something that certainly could happen, as he understands how Senjutsu works, as it was taught in the academy according to the first Itachi Shinden novel, and he also has the Sharingan, which visualizes chakra as color. Now, disrupting Naruto's chakra here and the Senjutsu flow could be detrimental because Naruto only has a 5-minute timer, so Sasuke could definitely time him out with that, refocus aspect, and this would just be game over for Naruto. Sasuke does have demonic illusion shackling stakes, which is above like a Sannin again, so if you want to put them comparable to that, do what you will. Digressing back to a more pro Naruto side, Frog Strike is also something that would pose quite a threat to Sasuke simply due to it being a literal durability negation. So if they happen to engage in a more confrontational taijutsu approach, Naruto may just actually be able to one-shot Sasuke or get close to that. Naruto also has, as the manga puts it, nature on his side. This is shown against the Preta Path as they both go for a right overhand attack. Both missed, yet Naruto still one-shot one of the stronger paths of pain, which just goes to also corroborate Naruto's physical power. Not only to just mention that Naruto completely speed blitzed and one-shot the Ashura Path whilst it was flying with rocket boosters. This would be the same Ashura Path, or an even faster Ashura Path, who tanked a Raikiri and a Jutsu superior to Sasuke's Chidori just before this, then got revived, and Naruto just one-shot it and blitzed it. That's not even all, as Naruto was also able to one-shot a fatigued Tendo Pain, which is also very impressive. Now, Sasuke's feats in the summit are not particularly strength and durability grounded, so Naruto certainly has that advantage. I will say, though, that Naruto, the one thing that he really needs is to be able to capitalize in 5 minutes, or else the Sage Mode just runs out. If he uses 2 Rasen Shuriken, it just also ends, so maybe you could argue that he would do a Clone Barrage. However, if they are all in Sage Mode, it would just certainly end his Senjutsu funneling, so he kind of has a few routes to go, but they all have to work first try, otherwise he's pretty much done. So, yeah. The question is now, since Naruto is that impressive and I have Sasuke with the edge, what can Sasuke actually do, and can he capitalize in that time frame? Well, let's analyze the Five Kage Summit and find out. Now, for comparison, our easiest route here is the Raikage A. So just how strong is he? Well, concluding the first day of the work, A was more than able to keep up with KCM1 Naruto whilst in V1 and V2 respectively. Many people love to use Naruto dodging the Raikage, but you can't ignore all the other reaction feats with the Raikage being on par with him. A also had to cover a far greater distance before Naruto ever initiated his body flicker, so I have heard some say that he actually blitzed Naruto, but I don't really subscribe to that, but still more or less A can keep up with KCM1 Naruto and the War Arc, which does align with the 4th databook supporting that as well. Now, what if I said that A in the Summit isn't different than A in the War? Well, we know that chakra is correlated directly to cells, and Raikage lost his arm. Therefore, he lost cells, therefore chakra, therefore power. Now, I don't completely subscribe to this, as it does presuppose that each chakra component is equal in the cells, as in physical, mental, and, whatnot. So, as, I don't believe the Raikage got, significantly weaker, as some believe. He certainly either didn't get any stronger or could have gotten slightly weaker during the summit. However, this is very crucial, as we do know Sasuke and V1 Raikage were able to move equally. This is a Sasuke that wasn't even in his Mangekyo, with him still being able to perceive and react to that V1, and even pre-Kage's elbow, duck under it, and then pierce his chest with Chidori. Now, yes, while in V1 would still put Sasuke's reactions on par with KCM1 Naruto, he still gets far faster than that once he uses the MS and is forced to combat V2A, to which at first glance is a stomp, but in all honesty, Sasuke's Inton Kagetsuchi actually blitzed the Raikage twice, such as here, when he needs a defense against A's speed, noting that he can't physically move on par anymore, therefore V2's body flickers behind him, and Sasuke fires Inton, to which goes up instantly compared to the Raikage, literally. So if Sasuke can perceive you, he can ignite Inton and blitz you with that. Even during the guillotine drop, Sasuke notices his Inton going out, and then ignited more, and shaped the flames before the Raikage fell down on him. And let's not be disingenuous and say, well, that's just gravity, as that would be heavily disadvantageous and irrational, as we know the Raikage didn't just pop out at some random move, but he actually wanted to kill Sasuke. Since all of his previous hits on Sasuke were in the neck area, that is where he was trying to strike. So if it was just gravity, the attack would be virtually null and pointless. Gaara then intervenes and blocks Inton for a few panels, with Sasuke acknowledging how good his defense is, being able to keep up with Inton like that. However, he then boasts that he now has an even greater defense than Gaara's, which could imply the V2 Susanoo being faster than Inton with maybe the arrow or something, which is very possible. And I personally do subscribe to Inton being a little faster on the basis that it shows those really high showings. So yeah, Amaterasu and more specifically Inton Kagetsuchi would just blitz and outright kill Naruto due to it being faster than KCM1. So now, while this could lend credence to Naruto needing the Nine Tails to fight Sasuke, as stated, I do think we should give Naruto some credit, as his Sage Mode is admittedly faster in reaction time due to the enhanced danger sense that Sage Mode presents. Now, does that mean that Naruto can react and outspeed it? Well, probably not, just due to its sheer speed. However, something like Amaterasu should be dodged with that enhanced sense of danger. But the problem with Inton is that Sasuke can form it into a shape that, yes, Naruto could react to, but could not defend against, such as a double-sided spike or something like that, where Sasuke could also just genjutsu Naruto during that just to disrupt and then add more pressure onto Naruto whilst he's using Inton, and then just, kind of force him to run out that Sage Mode timer even more. This will force Naruto to go on offense, which he might just be too slow to do, especially if Sasuke is in the MS. Now, with base Sasuke, Naruto should be able to keep up just fine, especially in Sage Mode, considering how Naruto completely blitzed Ashura, who kept up with Kakashi, who could react to base Sasuke. This means that base, and potentially even 3-tone-way Sasuke, wouldn't be super relevant. However, for Naruto, using his strength and durability to his advantage is just kind of what he needs, which Sasuke will need Inton and potentially Susanoo Air to bypass. So, the 3-tone-way and base just probably get beat up by Sage Mode, but I know, that's probably obvious. One thing to also note about the Susanoo Arrow is that MS Sasuke and Danzo were relative, reacting to each other and even piercing each other in the clash, with the chapter synopsis statement supporting this very idea. However, once the arrow came out, Danzo was nearly perception blitzed and had a very hard time dealing with the arrow, meaning that the arrow should be a blitz level above MS, Chidori Sasuke in terms of speed, which means the MS could definitely blitz Naruto as well, as long as the danger sense isn't active all that much, or that's not all he's trying to, think about. But if it is, the arrow being so linear might be a problem, and Naruto might be able to react to it with that, which is just another, more concrete interpretation as to why Inton is the better option than Susanoo Arrow, just in my opinion, respectively, but whatever. And that is still quite arguable, as Sasuke also got much stronger as the Five Kage Summit went on, just due to hatred, which will also be a factor here as well. Many people tend to overlook Sasuke's amps throughout the arc, which cannot be understated. Initially, Sasuke first got stronger from his, hatred alone, forcing his chakra to evolve and take a much colder, more sinister form, which gets more powerful as his ocular powers progress, which sort of works back in the same manner with the eyes, and his eyes progress, the more his hatred he gains, just kind of giving amps on amps. Then he gets to Susanoo, first unlocking what I call V1, being just this ribcage plus the arm, then V2, which is this one, a literal manifestation of his hatred, then going into the Danzo fight, the V3, which is this form, which kind of progresses out of that skeletal form and develops more armor, gaining the crossbow. Then finally his peak form, the V4, and the highest evolution of this Susanoo before the perfect stage. And, it's kind of this outer armor form, which also looks very similar to a full power Itachi Susanoo and the early EMS Susanoo, but, this just amped him so much to a point where it just drained the rest of his chakra, and presumably we have no basis to say that V4 is a different amp. So each one of these, Susanoo amps would be amping both his physical power and hatred by several fold, meaning that Sasuke has hatred amps, Susanoo amps, and actually eye amps as well. In the Sakura novel, they talk about progression of the Sharingan in comparison to tragedy and whatnot, as they describe a fold increase per loss, which is just crazy as Sasuke is facing a lot of trauma here. So yeah, Sasuke's actual non-Susanoo form against Danzo is way faster than the one who could tag V1 Raikage. This would also translate to his reaction speed and perception speed, which gets increased, meaning that Sasuke's crazy Inton Kagetsuchi feats would be far faster now. So I'm going to be honest, it sounds like I'm quite Sasuke biased, and well, I'll be straightforward. A normal Sage Mode Naruto isn't beating this Sasuke, so I think it's only fair and is much more contentious if we say the Naruto who fought Pain would be better. And you may be asking, aren't you already using those feats? And yes, I am, but Naruto in that has clones stored at Mount Miyaboku to store and gather nature energy for the main body, allowing Naruto to constantly circumvent the timers preset on his Sage Mode, which was kind of what Naruto will definitely need to do, because Naruto will need more than just 2 Rasen Shuriken or more than just a few clones to barrage Sasuke here. So I think this is kind of the advantage that he needs to keep this kind of close or whatnot. So what's this really do for Naruto? Well, during the Pain arc, many people are really quick to just say that Naruto beat Pain without acknowledging things such as Pain's massive nerve and Naruto's advantages, such as him storing clones at Mount Miyaboku to gather nature energy so Naruto can get a constant refill of it throughout the fight, using the toad oil to his advantage. This will grant Naruto a much better edge and a chance to not get overwhelmed. You could also argue that his sensory would be even better, just due to the senjutsu gathering being more consistent, I guess, which makes it, again, attacks such as the Susanoo arrow, very difficult to combat against. However, still with Sasuke's sheer speed advantage, I do still think that Sasuke still has quite a stylistic advantage. So I do think the fight is still extremely close, and I do think that if there was a gun to my head, Sasuke is the only choice to make. Now, they may be nearly equal combatants, as I do believe that they are still extremely close, and I also believe that the categories that Sasuke just does take are generally more applicable to a fight against each other compared to Naruto. And in the end here are the final categories. Naruto takes strength, durability, and sensory with a more offensive approach. Now, Sasuke takes speed, endurance, IQ, and abilities, and with a much better defense and many other abilities granted by the Sharingan, such as precognition and genjutsu. So yeah, in conclusion, this fight is very close, and I've heard a lot of people lean towards Naruto when I think they could either be certainly equals and would die if they fought, or Sasuke would do a lot better than what people think and may actually edge it out. But what do you think? Do you think that Naruto blitzes and one-shot Sasuke, or maybe Sasuke burns Naruto's head off at the start of the fight? Either way, make sure to let me know your opinions in the comments below, as I truly do enjoy reading your guys' thoughts. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for all the recent support, and as always, love you guys.